For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Imagine you're starting a new job. You might be a little nervous, unsure of exactly what to do. But your boss, who knows the company really well, has a plan for you. They'll give you training and projects that help you use your skills and grow in your role. That's kind of like God's plan for our lives. He created us with unique talents and desires, and He has a purpose for us, a way for our lives to be fulfilling and make a difference. For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. Think about a potter who makes a beautiful vase. The vase isn't just an accident of clay on a wheel. The potter had a vision and shaped the clay to fulfill that purpose. Just like that vase, God created us with intention. The verse in Ephesians tells us we're God's handiwork, designed to do good works He planned for us all along. It might not always be clear at first, but as we seek Him and use our gifts, we discover the amazing things He has in store. In their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. We all have dreams and goals, and it's great to make plans. But sometimes life takes unexpected turns. This verse reminds us that God's plan might be bigger than what we envision. Even when things don't go exactly as planned, He can use those detours to guide us on the path He has for us. Trust that even the twists and turns have a purpose in His grand design. We have different gifts according to the grace given to each of us. Have you ever noticed how everyone has different strengths and interests? Maybe you're a whiz with computers, or you have a way with words, or you just love helping others. This verse reminds us that God equips each of us with unique gifts. Finding your purpose is about discovering those gifts and using them to serve God and others. He has shown you, O Manusha, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you: to act justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. Sometimes we think purpose means some grand accomplishment, but this verse reminds us that God desires faithfulness in the ordinary. Maybe your purpose involves being a loving parent, a supportive friend, or a reliable employee. Living with kindness, justice, and humility in your everyday life is a beautiful way to fulfill God's plan and make the world a better place. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under heaven. Life has seasons, just like the earth. There might be times when your purpose feels clear and other times when it feels foggy. This verse reminds us that God has a purpose for each season. Maybe right now He's calling you to focus on your family, or maybe He's preparing you for a future opportunity. Trust that He is guiding you step by step, even when the path isn't always clear. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others, as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. Imagine a big toolbox filled with all sorts of useful tools. A hammer can't do the job of a screwdriver, and a saw can't do the job of a wrench. But each tool is valuable when used for its intended purpose. This verse reminds us that our gifts, whether big or small, are meant to be used to serve others. Finding your purpose might involve discovering how your unique skills can bless those around you. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. At the heart of a fulfilling life lies love for God and others. This verse reminds us that the greatest purpose we can have is to reflect God's love in the world. As we grow closer to Him and extend love to those around us, we discover the joy and purpose that come from living according to His will. I press on toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. Imagine running a marathon. It takes dedication, training, and perseverance to reach the finish line. This verse reminds us that finding our purpose might be a journey, not a destination. There will be challenges and moments of doubt, but as we keep seeking God and using our gifts, He equips us to run the race He has set before us. Trust that He'll give you the strength and guidance you need to fulfill your purpose, one step at a time. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. This beautiful verse tells us that God knew us even before we were born. He had a plan for our lives with all our days mapped out. It's a reminder that we are not accidents, but rather creations of a loving God who has a purpose for each of us. It can be incredibly comforting to know that He saw us, cared for us, and designed us even before we took our first breath. The heart of the discerning acquires knowledge, for the ears of the wise seek it out. This verse reminds us that finding our purpose often involves a journey of learning and seeking. Just like a student who actively seeks knowledge, we can grow closer to understanding God's plan for us by studying His Word, praying, and reflecting on our gifts and desires. As we learn and grow spiritually, He reveals more about the path He has for us. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. Sometimes we feel lost or unsure of our purpose. This verse assures us that God is always willing to guide us. When we ask Him for wisdom, He generously provides it. He wants us to know His plan for our lives, and He'll give us the understanding and direction we need as we seek Him with a sincere heart. To each is given the manifestation of the Spirit for the common good. Imagine a beautiful orchestra. Each instrument has its own unique sound, but together they create a magnificent symphony. This verse reminds us that God gives each person special talents, not to keep to ourselves, but to use for the benefit of others. Finding your purpose might involve discovering how your talents and skills can contribute to something bigger than yourself, becoming part of the beautiful music God is composing in the world. The spirit of a man is the lamp of the Lord, searching all his heart chambers. This verse tells us that God has placed a light within each of us, a spark of His own Spirit. Finding your purpose might involve paying attention to that inner light. What are you passionate about? What stirs your heart? As you follow those nudges and desires, God can use them to guide you toward the path He has for you. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened, and do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Sometimes the path to purpose can be scary or uncertain. This verse reminds us that God is always with us, giving us the strength and courage to face any challenge. As we trust in Him and take steps of faith, He guides us towards fulfilling the purpose He has designed for our lives.